This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Effizode 796. Hello, it's Mike Matthews, broadcasting from the last place on Earth, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today, I have the debut of a brand new segment called This Is Interesting. Lots of interesting facts on today's show, along with some fictitious folks like Madame Rutabaga, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. And let the Republican presidential wannabes... Mike's Daily Podcast. Find something wrong with everything that Obama does, because nothing he does can please Mike's Daily Podcast. Them that's what their campaign managers tell them to do so that they can get elected. Yet Rand Paul took a stand on Twitter, and he has slightly defected from the Republican Party, kind of. Well, we'll find out more in this show. And the last show, the brewmaster said he broke up with Madame Rutabaga. That's a wedding present that I have to now throw off a bridge somewhere. And I said... Mike's Daily Podcast. That on this show, I'm going to play you my only holiday tune. We'll do that at the end. And the brewmaster told us that he's boycotting making root beer podcast because he's going through heartbreak. Yeah! It's sad. It's fictitious sad, but it's sad. And I just really do not like Seth Rogan movies. I've had... Oh, look who just walked in. Hello, Michael Masters. This is Madame Rutabaga. As you know, I have broken up with that brewmaster. Oh, yeah, that's so sad. That you two would have made a lovely couple. Thank you, Michael Masters. But now I am free to date anybody. Maybe it's Seth Rogan. Yeah, maybe Seth would like to be dated by Madame Rutabaga. He's dated other sort of plants. What do you mean? A rutabaga is a plant. It's edible. Yeah. And he smokes the plants. Okay, you get where I'm going with this. He's a total pothead. All of his humor has to do with bodily functions and marijuana. Look who else just walked in.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the backing at that thing.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we should take this very seriously. This is a global invasion onto our computers day.
Yeah, they shouldn't have invaded a company's computer system that was archaic and outdated, and people downloaded emails to their computers like a bunch of stupid nimrods. Do you know that? So you're saying that Sony had it coming?
No, we're not saying that. We're saying that North Korea is invading America day in our American movies that we love so much day.
Yeah, movies about Pat and Wayne. Basil the Boxer seems upset that North Korea is taking away our pop movies.
Mike, it's not funny. North Korea is terrible. It's a big country that's got a lot of problems, and they're taking it out on the U.S. and Seth Rogan day.
Yeah, and my computer. I haven't updated my antivirus software in 10 years. Do you know that? Consider your computer North Korean right now. You know, this is really all this and that. But on the other end of the international theater is what we have going on with Cuba and Obama relaxing the restrictions and trying to improve relations with Cuba. And the Republican Party immediately was like, no, this is awful. This is terrible. We got to live back in the 1960s and the Cold War. Wasn't that bitchin'? But Kentucky Senator Rand Paul took to Twitter today. Yes, he is a Republican senator, as you know, and some say presidential hopeful. He took to Twitter today to criticize his Republican colleague and likely 2016 presidential primary rival, Senator Marco Rubio, for his continued support of the U.S. embargo on Cuba. This according to Time.com. In a series of tweets. Let's hear it for tweets! All right. I like the sounds that birds make. In a series of tweets, Paul taunted the Florida senator over Rubio's opposition to President Barack Obama's efforts to normalize relations between the two countries, accusing Rubio of acting like an isolationist. Yeah, man. It's like the 1930s all over again. We're going to isolate. The charge was even more biting given that Paul has been criticized by Republican hawks for being an isolationist on foreign policy. Paul said that Obama's move was probably a good idea, while Rubio has heavily criticized the move and said things like, the president... And I don't know if you ever hear Marco Rubio talk. He's like trying to affect a Southern accent, but I don't think he really does. It just comes out false, his Southern accent. But he said something to the effect of, Obama has no idea what's going on. His foreign policy is just a sham. Well, I even sounded more realistically Southern than Marco Rubio does. The tweets are only the latest digital assault that Paul's team has launched against a potential primary rival. Earlier this week, Rand Paul's Political Action Committee began running Google search ads critical of Florida Governor Jeb Bush, who is planning on, well, it looks like he's going to be running for president. I know, isn't it like a Hollywood movie that North Korea steals the script to, and that you've got possibly in 2016 a Bush versus a Clinton? This will be blockbuster. What? Why did that happen?
Mike, I thought you wanted an explosion there, so I blew up the parking lot thing.
We need the parking lot for the cars that park. I've explained this over and over again. One of the tweets that Senator Rand Paul tweeted to Marco Rubio was, the United States trades and engages with other communist nations such as China and Vietnam. So, at Marco Rubio, why not Cuba? Well, because, Senator Rand Paul, it's so damn close to us. So scared. Well, what do you think about all of this? And I just want to eat some delicious Cuban food right now to celebrate this fascinating story. Paella, anyone? A healthy dish and so delicious. Email me, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST-796-News@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section Emails from Email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you'd like to sponsor the show, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. And check out the website, MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. It's got the blog, the Daily Podcast picture, all my past interviews. And you can find links to where to listen to the show in iTunes. Subscribe to the show in iTunes, and you can also comment on the show and rate the show there. If you do, that helps our ranking and more people find out about us. It's wonderful. There's also links to where to find us on Facebook. Like the Facebook page, and when I post a new show, share it with your friends, and more people find out about us that way, too. There's also links to where to find us on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spreaker, Mixcloud, Podomatic, Yelp, Tumblr, Twitter, and yes, the Amazon link. Click on that and buy something before Christmas, and you can help us out by doing that. So you're buying something nice for your loved one, and then you're also supporting the show that you like called Mike's Daily Podcast at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. And now the debut of a brand new segment.
This is interesting.
Wow, this is interesting.
Welcome to the new segment called This is Interesting. And this is where we look at some interesting things that happen that you may not know about in today's world. Okay, let's get started. This is interesting. Why nobody wants to host the 2022 Winter Olympics, according to Time magazine. Oslo withdrew its bid for the Winter Olympics back in October, making it the fourth city in recent months after Stockholm, Ukraine, and Poland to have second thoughts about hosting for the Games. Beijing and Kazakhstan are the only remaining contenders. Why? Because huge costs. Yes, last year's Winter Olympics in Sochi set Russia back $51 billion, exceptional even by Olympic standards. Vancouver, for example, spent $6.8 billion in 2010. Russia 51, Vancouver 6.8. Wow. Limited payoff. London poured $14 billion into the 2012 Summer Olympics, but it remains unclear how much it wound up benefiting the city economically in the long run, if at all. Then there's popular backlash. Some cities are wary of citizens reacting after protests shook Brazil last year, in part over the government's lavish spending to host the 2016 Summer Olympics. And then the shady partner, the International Olympic Committee, which works with the host to put on the games, has been plagued by allegations of corruption and lack of transparency.
A city of justice, yeah, a city of love, a city of peace for every one of us. 'Cause we all need it, yeah, can't live without it. Gotham City.
That should be the theme song of the new TV show. Well, it's not. But there is someone in the new TV show, Gotham, Sean Pertwee, and he says, all actors have different approaches, and mine is about the detail. It's about the little things and the atmosphere you're trying to create. The attention to detail has led Pertwee to a remarkable, prolific acting career that spans more than 100 roles in television, film, stage, and even video games. He cut his teeth performing at the Royal Shakespeare Company. He has appeared in so many sci-fi and horror titles and has met a gruesome end in such a large percentage of them that there is a Sean Pertwee Must Live campaign with traction on the internet. Now Pertwee has been transplanted from his native London to Brooklyn to portray the iconic Alfred Pennyworth, butler to Batman on Fox's Gotham, according to New York Observer. Brooklyn Heights is a suitable stopping off point for Pertwee, whose UK residence is the North London celebrity enclave, once home to the infamous Primrose Hill set that included Jude Law and Sadie Frost, Kate Moss, and various other members of rock band Oasis and their spouses. Pertwee and his wife, makeup artist Jackie Hamilton Smith, or maybe it's just Jackie, I don't know why I went French there, existed safely beyond the peripheries of the most debauched shenanigans and emerged unscathed from the ensuing tabloid scandals and media drama. Fellow Brits describe Pertwee, though, as a guy who is frequently to be found close to the epicenter of whatever the current zeitgeist happens to be. He says, Pertwee, we found out that Alfred's middle name is Thaddeus Crane. In fact, that was his name originally, and Alfred Pennyworth is a pseudonym. Pertwee goes on and says, Alfred worked in the special services during the Second World War. In fact, he says, did you know the name Pennyworth derived from the fact that he considered his life worth a penny, because he used to keep a cyanide tablet concealed in a penny. From his very first meeting with Gotham creator Bruno Heller, Sean Pertwee understood the enormity of taking on a role that is real not only to him but to legions of loyal fans. And even in the immensity of the character, even if that had not dawned on him, Pertwee immediately, he says, the audition process would have cemented it. He recalled having every electronic device taken off his person and then being brought into a secluded room, all before he even knew what he was auditioning for. He says it was total lockdown. It was only after this isolation that he was allowed to read the script that would later become the pilot for the TV show Gotham. Executive producer Danny Cannon said to me, "Why are you so nervous?" said Pertwee. And I said, "Well, why do you think?" I had read the script by then, and I really wanted the job. I knew it was Alfred, and I thought it was extraordinarily brave because it is a very different take on the character. Now, Sean Pertwee's own father just so happened to travel through time and space to save the galaxy on a weekly basis. John Pertwee portrayed the third incarnation of the eponymous Doctor of Doctor Who from 1970 to 1974, predating, when that doctor, John Pertwee's doctor, dies, he regenerates into Tom Baker, who was probably the most famous doctor until the reboot for Doctor Who in 2005. Sean Pertwee lived a life suitable to the son of a Time Lord. He recalled long stretches spent